I'm Mark Halley of Mr. Saltwater Tank, and this is Mr. Saltwater Tank TV. I am in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, here with Adnan looking at his 150-gallon reef tank to give you a glimpse of what reefing is like in the Arabian Peninsula. Now Adnan, we've known each other for a couple of years. You've been on Mr. Saltwater Tank TV before, back in 2011
Yes.
at Macna. By the way, everyone, Adnan comes to Macna every year. He makes a trip from Saudi Arabia to Macna. So if you're thinking about coming to Macna and you're like, gosh, it's just too far, whatever, talk about commitment. This tank, 8 years old.
Yes.
Take me through it.
First of all, welcome to my home.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Saudi Arabia, and I'm surprised. It's an awesome surprise to have you, in Saudi Arabia. We never imagined that Mr. Saltwater Tank is in Saudi Arabia.
Stranger things have happened,
yes,
I guess.
and that's something amazing. And I hope to see you again and again in the coming years and shoot more tanks in Riyadh and get to know more people. Yes, this is an 8 years old tank.
What do you do for salt and calcium chloride and aquapower, things like that?
I'm using Kent salt. Kent is the only salt available in Saudi Arabia.
The only salt you can get is Kent.
Yes, right now. And luckily I've been using it since 8 years from day one in this tank. There are few choices in Saudi Arabia with other Chinese salt, but I rely on Kent. I'm using a calcium reactor, chlorine calcium reactor, Aquamax skimmer, protein skimmer, metal halide slide. The tank, when I started the tank, it wasn't supposed to be a reef tank. I never knew that I can make a reef tank in this part of the world.
Why is that?
I never saw a living coral in this country, not the city. Anywhere in any store, nobody knew what is a coral. I wasn't looking for colors in the corals those days, and because there was no coral.
None.
None.
Nowhere. Not even
Nowhere,
fellow
yes.
hobbyists.
So any living coral was welcomed in the tank. In the days when I was looking for corals, it was about the news. If I get a news that there is a store in Dubai or any nearby country who's getting a new shipment, and if they have a coral, I would just straight away plan and go to that country. I drove 10 hours to just buy one piece of Montipora. It's an encrusting Montipora. Your videos were an inspiration, but sadly, whatever we would see in your videos wasn't available.
You couldn't get it.
Yeah, that's when I started planning to go to Macna.
And bring back gear.
And bring them back to Saudi Arabia. And that's when I told you that I'm bringing empty suitcases with me. I want to shop as much as I can. So everything in this tank, all the equipment is bought from the US. From the skimmer, protein skimmer, calcium reactor, everything was bought from the US. Most of the equipment I've been paid more than the real cost of the equipment, double.
Can you buy that gear in Saudi now?
Not really, not really. We have very limited stores again, but things are much better than those days. At least we have people today that I can go and swap frags with them. And then we have some beautiful stores in Dubai where we can buy the corals from and meet people there and buy equipment as well in Dubai.
How far of a drive is Dubai?
Dubai is like a 9 to 10 hours drive from
9
Riyadh.
to 10 hours drive. And now, what's your go-to store when you go to Dubai?
BPK. That's the only store which has everything.
Everything being?
Everything which I would see on an online store like Marine Depot. For example, you'll see everything in BPK, and it's one of the best stores in the Middle East.
But it's 9 to 10 hours to get there.
Yes.
And where did the rest of this come from?
Most of the corals are from the Red Sea. Red Sea.
Wild caught.
Frags.
Frags?
Yes, we're not destroying the colonies.
Yeah.
We're just taking small frags and growing them and then redistributing these corals.
We talked about coral, but what about fish?
We have few stores, those who import fish. So fish is not a problem, but again, you don't have a choice of fish which you want, and the stores wouldn't get those fish. They would try to get fishes like damsels most of the time, because you don't have a lot of customers here, those who will buy all those exotic fishes.
Adnan, you're very versed on tanks. What's the most exotic fish that you've seen in Saudi?
The emperor angel is queen angel,
Yep.
flame angels. So these angels are known by and people need these. So only these are the angels I've seen most of the time.
So bread and butter fish in the United States is considered exotic here in Saudi.
That's was one reason that I lost my interest in having more fish, because there was no choice. So I was concentrating on growing the corals, whatever I had, despite of whatever the color is. It was about growing the coral into a colony, which I never expected, but I was successful.
Any desire to cut these down and get different coral?
The desire is there, but it's like cutting my own family member.
You don't want to cut
It's
them
like
out
a murder.
You're attached to them.
Yes, I'm attached to them. So I don't know. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yes.
You enjoy the hobby. Does the rest of your family enjoy it?
Yes. Not as much as I do,
But the kids.
but the kids, yes.
The kids were pointing out Nemo to me and
Yes.
Dory.
Yes.
Do you think they'll pick it up after you?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. I hope.
You hope. Clearly you have a lot of success in the saltwater tank hobby. What advice would you have for someone who's just getting started?
Patience. Patience, and don't look for cheap equipment. Go for quality. And that's a mistake which a lot of hobbyists make. That they try to find cheaper equipment and they don't have patience. They want to see the reef growing within days.
No.
And they end up quitting the hobby. So we want more hobbyists, we don't want to lose hobbyists. So patience and the right investment.